This is the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, where we spread awareness for men's mental health and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify. New episodes drop weekly. This is the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast, and today is a special episode. I'm joined again with John Martinez, Good and Dangerous, and we're going to talk about kind of what worked for both of us in the year 2025. Beneficial tools and tricks that we use to help improve our lives. And so we're here today to kind of transfer that knowledge and help you guys out as you go into the new year. John, it's good to see you again, man. Thanks for coming back
How
on.
you doing, man? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too, bro. Hey, so let's kind of help out our viewers and our listeners. Let's talk about what are some things that you used in the year 2025 to kind of evolve and help you grow spiritually, your mental health, and also your physical health.
For me, I think I take it back to what some things I learned during COVID. I heard this quote where it said some people, we went into our houses, came out of COVID stronger, and some people came out weaker. So I felt like
Mm-hmm.
during COVID, one of the good big things I was doing was I was fasting and I was making sure I worked out every day that COVID was going on. So when it was all said and done, I never really had any negative thing about COVID. I was actually like on my shit during, during COVID. I was like literally, I got to a point where I was doing like 300 burpees a day. I was
That's insane,
walking or
dude.
running at
That's
night,
insane.
boxing. I was doing all kinds of stuff. And so this year I kind of was like, oh, it's like it's been a years since then. I kept working out, but just not with that because I wasn't as home as often.
Mm-hmm.
But I kinda started saying, "No, I need to get back into doing fasting." Fasting was something that I definitely, felt always makes a big difference. One, because I think it kinda teaches you a little bit of discipline, and this is just for me, I don't know if anyone else's experience with fasting, but it helps me think clearer. I notice in the morning, like, I'll usually start my fast around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, and I don't really eat till, like, 11 or 12. It depends on what I'm doing. I usually do a 16 and a 8 or a 15 and a 9, something like that. It's like either it's 15 or 16 hours, somewhere around there. I don't really do super long ones. The longest I've done is a 20, but by that time, I think they said you're getting into where it feels good because you're kind of focused. You're kind of this weird kind of focus, but you also are like you need to eat. So you're kind of it kind of can go both ways. So for myself, I feel like being on in the morning, it makes me really productive. Like when I get into work, I'll drink some green tea or coffee, and I'll usually just be like on it, like till like 1 or 2. I'm just like focused, think clearly, this and that. And it's crazy because as soon as you eat, you feel the impact that eating has on you, where you just feel yourself like slow down. Your body wants to digest it. It's very different. So I feel like that helped me a lot. I've always been kind of a night owl, I guess, but that kinda came along with being, in law enforcement, all the weird schedules that we did.
Mm-hmm.
Now being away from it, I found myself understanding I need to get more sleep because I think I usually operate, like, around it was, like, anywhere from, like, 5 to 6 hours of sleep. So now I've found myself, trying to get to bed a little bit earlier and get more sleep because I realized what was kinda going on was throughout the week, I would start off, like, Sunday, Saturday, I tend to try to sleep in, not because I just wanna sleep in. I try to catch up on any sleep I'm not getting during the week, and then Monday, I notice I'll, be good. Tuesday, I kinda didn't get as much sleep. By Friday, it's kind of like going it's kind of where I'm getting again 5, 6 hours. So I
Mm-hmm.
learned the value of getting enough sleep, and then, I think those 2 big things kind of helped me with that fasting, the sleep. Monday is always the day I'll go to church. And, I find myself when I don't go to church, which is not that often, I've been pretty consistent about it now for the last, I would say 2 to 3 years, I've been pretty on it. When I don't, I feel like I'm kinda missing I don't know what it is, something about it makes me it's not just for my faith, it also makes me lose think about things for the week. I kind of helps me kinda reflect, like, just the same way you would go to the sometimes, people you go to the sometimes you don't wanna go to the gym, right? You're like, "I don't wanna go to the gym today, I feel like I'm tired," whatever, but then you work out and you feel better. That's the
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing I find that church is for me. There's times where I'm like, "Man, I'm kind of tired," or whatever's going on. But then I go, then I'm glad that I went because there's sometimes something that, the pastor says that kind of relates to what I'm thinking about, and I find myself that the message kind of feeds me in what I'm doing. So that's helped me a lot. And just like one, and I always tell people you gotta they some people, I don't want to say it's a sobriety thing for me because I've never had a problem with alcohol. To me, it's more of a benefit thing for me. Like, I don't really see the benefit in drinking for a lot of for myself. So at this point, I would say sometimes if I would drink to celebrate or something like that, I can't remember the last time I drank in the last 2 years.
Wow.
I Yeah, and I've never had a problem with drinking. I was if we're at a wedding or something and someone wants to take a shot or something, I'm fine with it, whatever. I just don't feel the urge to do at all, really. And when even those times that I've had, I remember the next day being like, "Oh, I shouldn't." I don't know. I just feel it more. I can't describe it. I guess my just because I don't do it, even close to
Yeah.
often, I don't really feel like this is like it feels like a good thing. And a lot of people I kind of see struggle with that part of it. So, I tell people like I'm not telling you not to drink. Everyone, you kind of have to make your own choice. But for me, I don't really. I feel like if you're drinking to celebrate is different than if you're just drinking to drink.
Hmm.
Like that's different. I feel like you accomplish some things and you want to celebrate, cool, have a drink with your friends. If you're just drinking because it's Monday Night Football and like like, I don't that kind of I think is a bad habit that just leads to bad habits down the road.
I think it goes back to that saying too. Are you gonna choose purpose over pleasure? And if your
Mhm,
week revolves around getting drunk on Monday night to watch grown men play a kids game,
mhm,
you're probably not living for purpose. And I know there's a lot of football fans out there, and I'm not throwing shade at you, but at the end of the day, you know, as you get older, it's going to affect how you perform the next day. And if you're evolving into this, good and dangerous man, are you going to be able to do that if your priority is getting drunk on Monday night, staying
yeah,
up late watching football? I mean, I know the older I've gotten, um, the less I care about pop culture and celebrities or sports. And I grew up playing sports, but I think a lot of people are stuck on this thing where they have to live their life through somebody else. And that's why they idolize NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, musicians, all that kind of stuff. But I want to go back to your alcohol point, man, because I think something that I missed when I was struggling with my alcohol abuse, there's a lot of power in alcohol. And I never respected it. I just saw it as a way to cut loose, to have fun, celebrate, be a different guy than myself because I'm more of an introvert. But I think some people can use it, responsibly. But at the end of the day, it doesn't benefit you in any way. It doesn't do any good. And they're showing more studies now saying that it can lead to Alzheimer's and cancer. So I think you have to look at it from a lens of, hey, is getting drinking going to benefit me? And I'm not saying if you can enjoy it responsibly, that's your own decision. But ultimately, is it gonna benefit you? It's just like me, if I ingest 4,000 milligrams of caffeine a day, that's not a good idea. I gotta be smart, So, I
yeah.
think at the end of the day, you have to be an adult about it and say, "Okay, is this gonna benefit me or is this gonna hinder what I'm trying to do?" And if you're watching this right now, you're listening to it, John and I are here to help you. We're trying to help you evolve. We're both on our own journeys and we're trying to grow. So, I think ultimately alcohol is not gonna help you grow into the man you were designed to be.
No, I agree with you. I like the thing you said about the football thing. It's funny because actually, I told that to one of my friends one time because he wanted to start working out with me, and what I told him was, I said, "You can work out with me." I just said I'm not gonna take it easy on you. I was like, "I'll adjust the weight for you or whatever, but you're gonna do what I do. Like, I'm not gonna like baby step you into it because I said because we're close. Me and him are close to the same age, and I kind of looked at it like you've been baby stepping all your life, so we don't need to do. We're not doing that shit." And which was funny about the football thing, because I brought that up to him. I said, "You know what's crazy to me?" I said, "Grown men will throw a jersey on with another guy's name on their back, but they won't put their
Mhm,
own name on their back and carry that shit." I said, "They'll celebrate
mhm.
when he scores a touchdown like they scored it, but they won't do shit." And I used to tell this. It's funny because when I would run into girls that ask me like, it's funny because you don't really like sports. I said, would you rather have a man that can play a sport or watches other men play sports?
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Yeah.
And they would be like, good point, good point. And I'm like, I said, I can. I'm like, I said, the only sports I really even will watch at this point is be like hockey, MMA, boxing sometime, and even
Mhm.
then, boxing's kinda become something else. I don't know what's going on with it, but,
Yeah.
um, I just don't but I don't idolize it. There's no one I'm like, "Oh, I really wanna be like, LeBron James flopping around the court." I just don't I get it. It's like you're successful in your field, you make money. I can't hate on them for any of that, but I don't idolize any of these guys. And
Mm.
so I think a lot of guys do, like, they live vicariously through them, and
Mhm.
for some reason and I just don't get it because I look at it like, if you would have put that same effort into your life and your family, like, imagine how far more you would be ahead, you know what I mean? You'll see
Mhm.
guys crashing out for the Raiders or the Dodgers or whoever, but so you don't put that same energy into watching your kids or your relationship or your working out or your life, but you're over here, you're like, "Oh, look at me, I'm a Dodger fan."
Yep.
I don't to
Yep.
me, I just
No,
I just don't get it.
there's an old saying like never meet your heroes. And when I got out of college, one of the gyms I worked at, there were a lot of Titans players there. And
Mhm.
man, you know what? I was a baseball player growing up, so I loved watching baseball on TV and going to games, and also go to a game once in a while. I'm not going to rock a jersey with somebody else's name on it, but like, dude, you meet these NFL guys, and I'm not saying they're all bad, but you just kind of let down. Like these guys they don't give a shit about you, man. They're just getting
No,
paid. You know, at the end of the day, they don't give a shit about you or if you come to the game because they're getting paid regardless. And there are some good dudes in pro sports. They're not all bad, but I'm trying to teach my son like it's cool to watch pro sports, and I want him to play sports because he plays sports. But it's like, dude, at the end of the day, just keep in mind, don't worship these guys. Don't put them on a pedestal because they're just like we are. They're just famous and play a sport. You know.
yeah, yeah. Like, they're not yeah, it's like, and honestly, I can remember, the point in time in my life what really kinda changed my mind about sports. So we had this I was in Fort Lewis at the time, and we were climbing like it was like a tower, some kinda tower, and this guy, Lede, he started climbing it, and he fell down, landed on the rifle, and he was getting up and trying to walk, like, he was, like, trying to walk, and he couldn't. So, he ended up, fracturing his neck or, like, breaking his neck. He had to get one
Ooh.
of those halo things, but I remember him, like, getting up off the floor, trying to walk. Our lieutenant at the time was like, "Lede, get up, walk it off,
Oh
rub dirt
man.
in it," type of shit. So then I remember going to a Lakers game maybe not that long after, and Kobe Kobe falls on the floor, and everyone in the auditorium's like, "Get up, Kobe, get up." And I just remember thinking like, "Man, fuck this, bro." I said, "We have" I was like, I remember thinking that in my head, like, thinking like, "This kid over here breaks his neck, is trying to get up because he wants to be a good soldier, right? Just
Yeah.
trying to get up. No one's clapping for him. We ain't sitting there clapping for him. We're looking at him
No,
like,
hell
"Dave,
no.
get up." And then I'm hearing that you have a grown man like that falls on the floor, and everyone's like, "Get up, get up!" And I don't know why that forever changed my perception of sports. And from then, um, and it just kind of changed. And after the whole NFL with Kaepernick and taking a knee, I just was like, man, I never really cared for football, but after that, I was even more cared less for it.
Yeah. It's dude, and a lot of those guys have been catered to their whole lives. So that's why when they fall down like that, it's a big production. And you got the guy that joins the army that's willing to put his life on the line and he just wants to be part of the team, you know. That's why he gets up. And it's like Pat Tillman, look at him. Remember him?
Yeah,
He was an NFL guy and went into the Ranger bat. And there's all kinds of controversy with him, but hell, at least he walked away from the NFL to go serve his country and he died in theater. So I mean, that's pretty admirable,
yeah,
man. But he's a
yeah.
rare exception. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
get
same
the
way with these. Oh, you do what?
no, 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 I agree with you. It's like the exception of, like, they could live this comfortable life, but they still feel compelled to, like, serve
Hmm.
and do something that's, like, more, selfless.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. And it's pretty admirable. So like with your daily routine and stuff, man, like what keeps you on track? So do you have like a morning routine that you do? I mean, I know you're fasting, you're going to the gym, and fitness is a big part of everything. I mean, at the end of the day, we should all be working out. Is there like like a morning routine that you have, man, or like a set checklist every day that you do to keep you dialed in?
I think for my kind of, I guess, my checklist of things that I do is in the morning, I always make sure, like for myself, I mean, kind of some of the common thing I think other people do too is, get up, take a shower, things like that. But I always try to make sure I'm, and this is just a habit from being in law enforcement and always dealing with our gear and stuff. I always had like my uniform ready, my gear ready, Lucy had it loaded, ready to go type of thing, just in case I needed to take off. I never was like that person, like, let me just get up and, um, not have like intention to what I'm doing for my day. I think it goes back to that. I don't know if you ever read that book, Make Your Bed Every Day. It's by Admiral, was it Admiral McRaven? Make Your Bed Every Day.
McRaven, yeah.
I believe that like those little wins every day help you. So like to me, making your bed is like a non-negotiable. Like you should get up and make your bed because I think it starts you off on that mindset of like, okay, here's my first task done type of thing. And I think kind of that preparedness kind of helps your day go a lot easier. I think a lot of people, I find that they're when you kind of go, I don't want to say you're winging it, but when you're kind of winging it and kind of going more with the flow of it, I think you're just setting yourself up to have a less productive day. And some people, that works for them because I their personality is just me. I would say my personality just more, I guess, military, or I don't, because that's kind of how I was raised. But I've seen people where they
Mhm.
struggle with just having the time in the day. They're like, "Whoa, this is I don't have the time in the day." And then when they ask me about certain things that I'm doing, then I'm like, "Well, this is what I do." Everything is kind of more like not like I have a set plan of X every minute of my day or something. I try to make my day more intentional about what I'm trying to do, and I do write down. I have to do lists in my at my desk, so I write down things that I'm trying to do, and then I check them off as I get them done. And I find that helps keep me on track to do things. Use timers. I have like a fasting app that helps me keep track of stuff. Just things like that. Like I think honestly, the hardest part for me has been is the sleep part of it because getting up, I was so used to getting up at for to be at work at 5, you're getting up at 3:45 or 3:30 to this and that. So once I didn't have to be up at 5, I tended to wanna be more like, "Okay, well, what time do I wake up?" So now it's more
Mm.
I find myself I'm going to the gym later at night, so I'm getting done around like 10 o'clock, going to sleep around 11 or 12, but still trying to wake up early.
Mm.
And then that's where I kinda was like, "Oh, maybe I need to go to the gym a little bit earlier," but I'm also trying to do a lot of things. So I guess it's like a give and take kind of thing, but
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely write a to-do list of things that I'm doing in the morning. That's kind of what it is. I just prepare at night whatever I'm gonna do when I get for myself, when I get into work, I'm making sure especially if you're fasting, I guess like I wouldn't say not a pro tip, but if you really drink a strong tea or coffee in the morning, you feel it a lot more in a fasted state because you're just taking it on an empty stomach.
Mm.
And there's I think a pretty good window of time where you're pretty productive. So you can kind of use that to your kind of a advantage. So if you do that, you're gonna be you'll knock some shit out definitely. Definitely. So that helps me kind of stay on track with my stuff.
There's a key word that's jumping out at me, and it's my favorite word in the English language, and that's discipline. So if
Oh yeah.
you're listening to this right now or watching it, and it's the first day of the new year, 2026, you've got to incorporate discipline in your life. It's going to make you not only more successful, but it's going to keep you regimented to where you can do tasks, whether it's go to the gym, get more work done, be more present. Because at the end of the day, if you're not disciplined, that motivation's going to fade. I mean, just watch with the new year, everybody's going to go join a gym. I want to get in shape.
Mhm.
I want to do this. They're going to be gone by mid February because it's hard.
Mhm.
They're going to give up because they don't have discipline. They're just motivated. Anybody can be motivated. I could tell you today, hey, I'm motivated to go run a marathon. Okay, but do you have this one to train for it? Because that is a full-time job. And I think that's the difference if you're trying to grow and be an asset, not a liability. You've got to have discipline in your life. You can still enjoy things, you can still do things that are fun, but at the end of the day, you got to have discipline, man. That's what I think.
No, it, it makes sense. I mean, I was thinking about it today, and even with us kind of doing this on New Year's, like I woke up in the morning, I had spent some time with my daughter, went and worked out, we had a pretty rough workout. Me and my friend Duke, we did 20 sets of 20 burpees. I try to do a hard ass workout on holiday. I don't know why this is in, I don't know when I started doing this, but it became this thing. Like I started doing like 300 burpees, 400 burpees, and it just this thing to be for me. It's like a thing of like you got to earn this shit, like earn earn the holiday. So we did
Mhm.
that, and then when I came back home, I was like, okay, dude, we're gonna do the podcast like at 1. I I like it because it keeps me, I don't know, by the say, like, the midday right after we do this or something, I feel more like, "You know what? At least I got up early, worked out, we did this podcast." Like, we're kind of I feel for probably for, like, you and you probably think the same way, like, we're, like, scratching towards where we're trying to get. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
like that
Yeah.
and a lot of people, this is not nothing has stopped. We've been doing this before the new year. So to me, that's why when people are like, "Oh, resolution," like it's not a to me, it's not a resolution. This is just how I do things, and I've learned and been successful in my life by doing things like that. Not thinking I can just do it from one day to the next, but if I keep clawing at it or just crawling towards it, then I can, get there. So yeah, it's definitely discipline. There's no motivation. The motivation is I feel like that's some kind of like, yeah, like you said, it's just something that falls off very quickly. Discipline is just like, I just got to do this shit because I said I was going to do it. Even when me and you
Mhm.
talk about like, hey, we're going to meet at this time, I feel obligated to then do it because I said I'm going to do it. So
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, and I think it's more effective to set goals, like small achievable goals versus like, okay, it's the new year, I want to get in shape. Well, break that down into maybe I'm going to start going to the gym twice a week versus I'm going to get in shape because it takes a long time to get in shape. And once you get into working out a lot, I don't know how you feel about it, but for me, it's like you're constantly chasing what I can look like, what I can do, and I don't know if there's ever really, at least for me, I've never really said, "Oh, I'm in shape now." I'm
Yeah.
constantly changing goals, and I'm older. I've got injuries, so I have to kind of reevaluate how I train, and so, and that sucks because your mind's saying pick up those, but your body says not today. So, but you gotta look at it from a you just do it, man. Like it's the right thing to do. And I like what you said that you had this podcast today, so you had to do it. You had to show up because man, I've been ghosted a couple times doing this, and I just don't understand that. If I have an appointment and I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to
Yeah.
fucking do it. Like
Yeah.
I'm going to show up. I'm going to be earlier, but I'm going to show up. And I just don't understand these men out here that don't keep their word. I don't understand it, dude. But they're making money off of helping people through social media and podcasts. I don't get it, man. I just don't. But I'm
I
gonna
think
get
it
I'm
just
gonna
comes, I
I'm gonna
think
get
it,
off my soapbox. But
I think, yeah. I mean, I think it always comes to like I kind of always talk about all the time. If you want to see how someone really is, just give them a little bit of power and authority or something like that. A lot of these guys, that's what it is. It's like in the social media space, you see just I don't know. I just see crazy. I see guys that are successful in getting the attention they're trying to get, but their message and whatever they're doing is like absolute dog shit. Basically, it's like everything from just uh forget what was the guy calling it bone mashing. I saw this guy talking about how he does and I'm not making this up, so people were like I can't remember what the guy's name is, some weird name. He calls himself like Cavilar or something. He's just kind of like very, what do they call it, like a pretty kind of pretty boy guy, but
mm,
he talks about bone mashing, like hitting your face to make your face a certain way. I think he was taking meth instead of pre-workout because he talks about
wow,
how that lock, yeah, like literally taking meth, like
damn,
even though he's saying he's taking a small amount of meth, like, and this is where I get where when I talk about it, and I get some people are like, well, you shouldn't talk down to these guys. They're starting like, yeah, I should. Like if you're telling someone to take meth
yeah,
to 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 work out and you have a big following and you don't think some of these kids are gonna dabble in that shit, yeah, I'm gonna
hmm
I'm gonna say something about it. It's not my fault that if it hurts your feelings that I'm saying something about it. And then it's just things it's little things like that. Like, it's like not all attention is good attention, and that's what I kind of see with these. I don't know, with some of them now, just kind of that it doesn't matter what it is. They just want that level of attention. But like you said, it comes down to like the keeping your word and what did your original message come off. I kind of point to like guy Wes Watson as an example. I remember
mm,
seeing a lot of his original videos where he was more like work out, stay sober, do your shit, to where he is now, kind of where it seems like he's at. And it just went from now it's like to bash his own, basically his own fan base of guys that are looking up to him, like you said, chasing kind of the money, and they get kind of lost. And I think that's anything. Like I think it's like anything. Have you ever watched that series, the House of David?
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been watching that, and I think that guy, like the what's his name, Sal King,
Salt, yeah, King Saul,
Saul,
yeah.
he's like a prime example. If you want to think of, if people, if how success and can go to your head, like when he keeps talking about like he's for like cursed or forsaken, and really it's his own kind of decisions, right? It's
Mhm,
wanting to not lose his power, his position, going to like to somewhat like manipulating people. But you can also see where at one point he was a good person. That's why there's a
mhm,
good sometimes undertone to what he's trying to do. But then how he can't give up the responsibility. And I don't know, I think a lot of guys, that's where they kind of suffer from. I think they can listen to guys like me and you, and we could say, hey, don't do this and this. Like we could say, don't don't drink, work out, fast, go to church, and will make your life better. It won't fix your life, but it should alleviate a lot of maybe problems that you don't have a solution for. It's not going to make everything in your life just magically, fix itself. But then they get a little bit of that success, right? Like what I see, and I know you probably see this too with your gym stuff. When you see people that work out, they get in a certain amount of shape, and they get a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and then all that shit falls by the wayside. You know what I mean?
mhm,
They get a
mhm,
good, they get some money in their pocket, and now all of a sudden they don't know how to act right. You know what I mean? They get a
mhm,
little bit of attention on social media, and all of a sudden, you know, they forget what their message was. It's I think it's human nature sometimes that you have to almost be aware of, like, hey, well, when things go good, I got to remember how things were when they weren't good.
mhm.
I think Rudy Kipling, he has that poem that says that the man that can walk with the kings and walk with the crowd can still be humble, or
Hmm.
it's something along those lines. And I always try to remember that line of being like that. Like you should treat everyone the same. Like no one is more important than anyone else. And I think that helps keep you in track.
Yeah, and I think, you just you gotta keep working even when you hit maybe a level you've been trying to reach, you still have to work and put effort in, fitness, mental health, spirituality. It's a constant ongoing process. We're never gonna just reach the goal line when it comes to mental health or spirituality, and even I think even physical fitness. I mean, you can be jacked and have the physique and be in great shape, but you have to still do the work to keep it because you'll lose it if you get in a relationship or you just say, "Hey, I've got the six pack abs. I'm going to stop working out now." Well, you're going to lose them in a week. You have to stay on it, and I think that's where people kind of drop off and miss the mark is they think, "Hey, I made this goal. I did it." Like they'll say, "I bench pressed 400 pounds in high school," and they're like in their 50s. Well, no, you didn't, but it doesn't
Kale
matter.
Bundy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter now because that was high school. So, kind of back to what you're talking about watching football and shit. I mean, I'd rather be in my late 40s and not be afraid to take my shirt off at the pool than to be spending my whole weekend watching some I guess grown men play a kids game and, get drunk and gamble on it, which is to
Yeah.
me is asinine, but that's just
Yeah.
me, man. But
No,
yeah.
I agree. And I think even with the working, like that term, a lot of people this year kept saying, and I probably still saying it, I'm getting locked in. I'm getting locked in. And I keep telling people, I'm like, if you're single and have no kids, there's a difference between the way you're locked in and between someone that, if you're working a full-time job, paying a mortgage, have your kids, whatever it is, I said, lock in then, and lock in also for a couple of years, and then I'll be more impressed by you locking in. Because, and it's not to say like we all haven't been at that point in our life. At some point we were all kids from our parents' house doing that. But it's easy to do that type of stuff when your level of responsibility is not high. You know what I mean? Hey, you go to
Yep.
work and you wake up. That's not gonna, you know what I mean? But when you
Yep.
have kids and you have like trying to do a business or do things like that, it's a different experience because you're still trying to do all those things and still make time to work out and do all those other things, and that temptation to not do them, like you talked about, is like always there to not do
Yeah.
those things. So that's where it comes back to the discipline. It's like, okay, well, I got to get up early, go work. after work. I got to work on my, for me, it's always, it kind of, I guess that's kind of my day. And, get up early, go to work on the brand stuff, go work out, start it over, do it again. And then kind of go into the everyday with that same, I guess, enthusiasm, you know what I mean? Of like, you got to enjoy the, I guess, the grind
Yeah.
almost of it and the battle. You got to kind of enjoy it's kind of like, yeah. And then also, to me, I like, um, seeing like why I guess I don't understand why some of the other guys are so combative with each other in the podcast spaces because I see like your stuff and I'm like, oh, that's good, cool. I like seeing you be so consistent with like guests and everything like that. Well, it makes me be like, oh yeah, I need to be more consistent. I don't ever see anyone doing good. And I'm like, man, I really want to, like fuck that guy. You know? Like I don't think that even the guys that I don't agree with their message,
Yeah.
I'm like, well, there's some value to be taken in what they're doing, right? Like the guys that talk about the streamers or the prison podcasts or whatever type of shit they're talking about, even though I don't like their messages, there's something to be said for having attained that level of success and doing good. It's just like just because I don't like your message, but you obviously have a formula for doing the things you do. So I try to look at it. Is there a good takeaway? Which I believe in everything there is. I think you can look at something bad and you can say there's something good to take away from what they're doing without doing what they're doing. If
Yeah.
that makes
Well,
sense.
and I think it's also it's a mature mindset to like, support people, even if we don't agree with them, say, hey, I respect that guy. He's gotten to a certain place. He's doing something that works. Cause I know I talked to a guy several months ago who's got a pretty big podcast and he's a cool guy. But he told me, he was like, some of these guys get mad. Like if I'm interviewing you and then you go on another show and I were to get mad about like, no, that's my guest. But he was like, at the end of the day, it, it's it's about helping people, but also it's being there and supporting that person and saying, hey, that's cool. Like, John's going on other podcasts. That's awesome. Or his podcast is doing really well. So it's like it's being supportive and working together versus, well, no, that's my guest. You can't go on anybody else's show. And I kind of understand that because it is weird when you first start out, because I've noticed a couple people I've interviewed have gone on other shows. So I'm trying to reframe it like, oh, that's cool. Like they're sharing their message and I want to see them do well. One of the guys I had on has a newer company that's doing really well. So I look at it as like he's a cool guy, he's a genuine guy, and I support him. I hope his company does well. And the more podcast he goes on, the more
Mhm.
exposure he gets. So it's just funny, man. I think it's maturity at the end of the day, like not being a hater, because there's so many haters online. It's like, oh, you're a misogynist or you're whatever. It's like, dude, whatever, man. Like,
We're all Nazis and tyrants.
yeah, yeah. But like you said before, no one's ever come up to us on the street and just been like, "Fuck you,"
That's what I think is the funniest thing to me about the comment section is like, never have I had just some random person I don't know just come to you, fuck your opinion. I don't like, but all the comment section, they're like, oh, let me,
Yeah.
I'll
Triggered.
tell you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm triggered by your
Yeah.
show. It's so
I'll tell you
bad.
what's what.
Yeah, yeah. I know,
Uh,
right? But
but
that's funny, man. So what are you looking at for 26, man? Like what does that look like for you? Like what are your goals coming into the new year?
my goals right now is like I got pretty much the plan to do my podcast on a weekly basis. I worked it out with the producer guy that I work with and my co-host Dave that helps me a lot with doing that. So we talked about that. Um, pretty much that's my biggest goal as far as for this first quarter to kind of keep pushing just on the social media aspect because I kind of see that as like more kind of advertisement engagement type of space to kind of get to meet people. I guess because it is funny because I do meet people now that more know me from social media that will come up to me and be like, "Hey, I know you from Instagram." So I think that's always kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just growing the brand and my goal for my cousin actually said it to me so it was fun when he said it. He was like, I think, in 2026, I think your brand's gonna blow up. I said, and I was like, oh, I said, but it's because I think it's the same thing me and you have talked about. There's this kind of, I think it's like a momentum building amongst men who are kind of like, I feel like think a lot of the lines we are. Like, we don't have to agree on everything, but we're kind of understanding like, okay, men need to be men.
Mm-hmm.
We can be tolerant of other people, but we're not. Tolerance has its limits too. You know what I mean? Of like what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. So, for the brand, I just see, the goal is for me is like to make the podcast do more, keep pushing the social media space more, and then eventually like get into like the physical. That's kind of my last thing really, is getting into the physical space of it, because I do really want to get into the kind of like the men's shed concept, because I think if I had a physical location and eventually to be able to like do the podcast, do merchandise, have conferences. I think me and you talked about that, right? The live events. I can't
Mm-hmm.
remember if we talked about it during the
Yeah.
podcast or off. I don't remember. But I think that's going to become a big thing, because I think it's, again, like, I think what me and you say is, and I don't think it's hate towards these other guys, because we're not hating on them. They have bigger platforms, way more probably resources and money, but it's like, what are you doing to actually not just grow your space, but to grow the space of of men? And I see that
Mm-hmm.
as being a thing. Like, what is, like, the guy Dave, who's my co-host for the my podcast. He was talking about, like, he's running a gym right now, so he's talking about like, oh, I want to eventually like franchise or do something where maybe he starts something on his own. And I thought that was cool. And that's kind of, even when I keep talking to a lot of the guys, even that were cops that I work with that are still cops, are like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like, start expanding out, because it just kind of, the more of us that are in this space, the more of us that we can network, help each other. Like, we can all be successful. We can all
Mm-hmm.
do things that we need to do. So that's kind of my plan for 2026, is just to keep kind of pushing and growing, and just kind of continuing to kind of push that message and attract and meet more people like yourself, and networking, because I just feel like there's a need for it that is not being met by the people in the space right now, because like it's become more for just the like and attention more than
Mm-hmm.
anything else. And I think they lost the point. And I think the good thing for us is, hopefully, because we're being more self-aware of it, like, we never get to that point where we're like, in a year, like, hey, we both got bigger followings, and we're just, now it's like we're interview whoever, and like, what controversial, like, hey, let me show you my text message of what he told me.
I want to start commenting on your stuff, and because you're mean and you're
Yeah, because I'm mean to
you're bad.
people.
You're bad. You're dangerous, man. You're dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we
Yeah,
should
but
do
that's what
that. This guy said this.
yeah. Yeah, I don't wanna be like that, and it's not even, and for those, like, those guys, I mean, I'm pretty sure they don't even they'll, like, those platforms like that, it's, again, it's just, I like a lot of them. Like, I like where they started. Some of their stuff is still decent, but then you just see them. I like, if you try to go after other people negatively, that stuff is gonna has to go somewhere, and it usually goes back into whatever they're doing, and it comes off like that. It just comes, I think, for me, and you can probably agree with that, like, us kind of being, doing our own stuff, but still, being somewhat like aware of all the people around us. We probably like their stuff at some point, and then at a certain point, it's like, man, you're in a different audience now. You kind of, maybe, you know what I mean? And maybe that is their goal. They don't really care, you know what I mean? Where they go
I
with
think
it, as long as they go somewhere with it.
I think ultimately they're more entertainers at the end of the day than like what
Yeah.
we're doing. They're
Yeah.
they're out there trying to get clicks and follows, and I think there's a reason why a certain guy that's huge, I won't say his
Mhm.
name, lives in my town, but he's always whining and posting videos and saying he doesn't like drama, but he's constantly stirring it up. I think he's getting paid for it. I think he's an entertainer. He's basically an actor. And I think you and I are in a different space. We don't have the payroll or the advertising budget or the marketing budget, but still we're actually trying to help people because we give a shit versus, hey, I'm going to bring on this controversial figure just for clicks. And that's what I'm seeing more now that I'm in this space. Because before, when I wasn't doing this, I didn't notice it as much. I thought, oh, that's cool. He's going to interview this guy or whatever. But I think for you and me, it's more, how can we actually help people? And we're both living by example. We're both doing what we say. We're not telling people to do one thing and then off camera we're out snorting Coke before we go train or before, I mean, we're just not like, this is who we are. We're authentic. This is who we really are. If I met you in person right now and we're sitting, at my place, I'm the same guy. I'm not putting an act
Yeah.
on just to be cool on Instagram. Cause I mean, I'm
Yeah.
46, man. Like I'm not even going to relate to half the people that, that are on
Yeah.
social media, and you mentioned that artist earlier. I don't even know who that is, man. Like you said his name. I'm like, I don't know who that is, dude. I was like, so, but yeah, man, I think it's just being authentic and just being real at the end of the day. And that's going to offend a lot of people, but you know what? We're trying to help people at the end of the day.
I think, and I think people need to hear it because I don't think that. I think a lot of what I see with, I mean, a lot of the comment thread I see in yours are the guys that are just talking about what they've been through and their experience, and it's like you don't need to be. We all kind of have lived our own lives, so we all got all the experiences that come from it, and I think that can help a lot of people. That a lot of people take little pieces of what they see. That's why me talking about what works for me, like I said, you don't have to drink, but it should be it can kind of take you down. I think one of the common things I keep seeing in a lot of these guys that are successful, but talk about somewhat of their kind of I would say a more of addictive past. It seems to be like it's almost like they're doing it again. But it's a
Hmm.
different drug, if that makes sense. Because I see some of the guys talk about, well, I used to like crash out doing this and I was on this and taking that, but now fame has become like their new drug. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And maybe they're not seeing it, but that's the way it looks like to me. It's like, well, you started off in a bad place, you worked your way up to a good place, but now fame is the new drug for you, like fame and attention, and it's like your new, it's like you become your new high, and that's what you're chasing. And so it kind of
Hmm.
sucks that they, maybe meet people around that don't see it, but who knows? But yeah, I
That,
think
that's
with
a,
ours is definitely, I think, a different platform and a different way for I think to just talk about experiences and things that work, and hopefully they get something from it, and it's not just us saying I feel like I never want to be like, just do what I'm doing and that's gonna and that'll make your life better. It's more like,
yeah.
hey, this is what worked for me. Maybe it'll
Hmm.
work for you because some people don't like to fast and some people don't like working out, but it's like, okay, you don't got to do it, but if you ever feel like changing some things around in your life, try it. You know what I mean? You could try to do it, and you can maybe you'll have some. It'll help you do one of them. You know what I mean? Maybe you'll stop drinking and work out, but you won't fast, and that'll help you.
Well, yeah, and I think working out, it helps lay the foundation for discipline, which is going to lead into other areas because you still got to put the effort in when it comes to the spiritual side and the mental health side, the whole
Hmm.
wellness package. I think the physical fitness will kind of jumpstart that. And I agree with you. I'm not saying like everybody has to be in the gym, 7 days a week, but I think it makes a difference. And the irony to all of this, man, like when I was in the worst place mentally, like as far as mental health, I was in the gym all the time. I was
Hmm.
still working out, but I was torpedoing my life through alcohol abuse, even though I was still like I had the physical down, no problem, but I didn't want to face the mental health. So I think you have to kind of like merge all those things together, and that's part of that process of maturity and looking at like not putting yourself always first, like serving others. And we talk about this, like if
Yeah.
I'm the best version of myself, I can actually help people. So I need to get my stuff dialed in, then I can help other people versus like, hey, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna play the victim card because I'm a celebrity now and I want all you guys to feel sorry for me and watch my show. Look at me. This person said this about me and it's gonna be on national news. Like, nah, man. Like help people. Like that's just how that's why I started all this was to share my story to help people and don't make the same mistakes I did because I was wrong. I own my stuff, but I was wrong. And um I'm just trying to show guys like, hey, and a lot of women listen to the show too. So now I've actually got a lot of women coming on the podcast in the new year. So
Oh,
it's going
that's
to bring
cool.
a whole new perspective. And a couple of them coming on in January are therapists. So
That's a big.
first responder therapists. So they're going to kind of share their knowledge, and I'm just looking to to continually improve and to help people. And so, hey, if the thing takes off and it gets big, great. But I'm still going to be the same guy. I'm not going to turn into some of these other cats, you know,
Yeah.
but,
But I think like you said, I mean, it makes a big even you going to the gym, like you said, during like drink, even when you're drinking, I think it's the same as when people, it's funny because people ask, like, I remember, so because we talk about like faith and things like that, people be like, well, I've had people straight out tell me, they're like, I don't really like people that go to church because I feel like people that go to church are judgmental and you're supposed to be perfect and and I'm like, I think you have the wrong perception of what church is. Like church is
mhm,
like I think maybe, and I get that part of it because I do remember mostly when I was more Catholic growing up, that kind of being more judgmental type of church I said, but a lot of it now is like I said, church is it's kind of like to me, it's like the gym, but for your faith, right? Like
mhm,
you're supposed to go even when you don't feel like going. It's more to keep you on track and a foundation for what's going on and something to measure yourself up against because if things are not going good in your life, but you're still working out or you're still going to church, you kind of know where you need to go with it, even if you're not there with it. If that makes
mhm,
sense, you're kind of still, you're kind of, you can't, it kind of gives you a measuring stick to think about where a lot of people, if you're just not doing it at all, then you're kind of just doing it in isolation and nothing makes you feel bad about what you're doing. If you go to the gym and you're drinking and you're not having the best workout, you're like, it's like fuck because I didn't, I'm not at my best, but I'm I'm, I'm here,
mhm,
so like damn, I probably would be having a better workout if I didn't do that. And if you go to church and you're not, at your best faith wise, you start thinking like, damn, what am I not doing or what should I be doing? And I think that's what the difference is. Like it's that foundation. I was talking about one of my coworkers about that because we were talking about um there was that kid, he just what did he do? He was a singer. He like killed his, I guess he's getting arrested. They like killed his girlfriend. He like put her in the trunk of his car or something like that. It was it
damn,
was in California here. So I told her, I said, she was like, man, these kids nowadays, like they just do a lot of crazy stuff. And I said, well, I think with us, I said, I remember going to church, being forced to go to church when I was younger, even when I didn't want to go. And then I go, be doing whatever with my friends. I said, but so when I was ready, I kind of knew where to go. You know what I mean?
mhm,
I guess I knew where to lean back onto. And I said, but I think
mhm,
nowadays when you don't have anything, when you've never gone to church, when you've never worked out, when you've never done any of these things, it's almost like you don't know where to go. And I think their own the weight of like thinking they're going to be judged for going to these places is kind of, it stops them from going. And I think that's where we talked about what kind of men do you see when you go into church? Like if you see
mhm,
someone who hasn't been there before, are you just looking at them like what are you doing here? It's like the gym, you know what I mean?
mhm,
I'm always pretty, I think, friendly when it comes to the gym thing because I understand, I respect someone who's never been to the gym but is willing to go more than someone who just keeps talking about it and never goes.
mhm,
I'm more willing to like help them or to talk with them about it, whatever, than I am for someone who ain't never done it. It's like the man in the arena thing. Like you're not even
mhm,
trying, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's the same thing with like church and things like that. So I think, yeah, definitely at least doing it, I think it helps. And maybe it's something subconsciously for us, like because I've been like that before where I was still working out a lot and I wasn't drinking or anything, but I felt like all my life was going kind of like a lot of things were going on at once, but somehow I was still just like working out and I think once I got to a better place, I was glad that that was like a consistent thing for me because it kind of helped bring me back to like full circle with everything. Where if I would have just
mhm,
stopped, I think it'd be worse. You're just like now you're physically you feel like shit and your life is like shit.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree, and I think we're meant to move, and you need to get blood flow, you need to clear your head, and, the gym is a good place to do that. Put on music and just move your body, sweat,
Mhm.
get your heart rate up, and I know for me, a lot of times it helps me, like, I wear headphones when I train, and it just
Yeah.
helps me kinda think about areas I need to focus on or what I need to work on, and, I think at the end of the day, you need that time to yourself if you work out by yourself like I do, if not, like, in a group, but you still got, like, that support, and you're able to focus on things. But back to your point about church, man, I think if you can find a church it's a healthy congregation and you kind of mesh with the people. I think it boils down to that. It keeps you accountable, almost like fitness, and it does help set the tone for the week because you're putting in the word of God and you're around like-minded people. that it's love, it's support. Not every church, but if you find a good one,
Yeah.
you can get that stuff. But it also, I know for me, it helps me kind of focus on the week. Like it helps
Yeah.
me like put, I mean, it's not always easy to put God first and put God in everything, which is what we're supposed to be doing. But I think with the church piece, that kind of helps lay the foundation for the whole week. Like, hey, I went to church on Sunday. I fellowshipped, I took the Lord's Supper, I worshiped God. And so I'm going to go into the week probably a little bit stronger than if I were just to stay at home and not do that. Cause it's like
Hmm.
skipping the gym, right? It's kind of like the same thing. Like, I'm not going to go today. You're already setting the tone for the week. Like, okay, are you getting a win in? And I don't want it to sound like a self-help thing because church isn't, but I think it does kind of reframe your mindset. I know I can tell a difference. If I haven't been to church in a couple of weeks, I feel different. I feel off than
Yeah.
if I'm dialed in and I'm going on a regular basis.
No, I agree. It's kind of like I want to say I was gonna relate it to like a conversation with your parents or whoever you talk to, maybe that you have a good relationship with. It's like you may, sometimes I think about times in my life when you've had conversations with people that are older and know more than you, and sometimes they're telling you something and you don't really get it. Like you get
Mhm.
it, you're listening to them, but you don't get it. And then later on
Mhm.
in your life, you're like, "This is what they meant." You know what I mean? Like this is.
Yeah.
I always bring this up when I was, I was in the army. There was this guy, his name was Captain Glick, and he used to always say this too shall pass. This too, and I remember we used to joke about it, like basically, like shut the, like we like this. We thought it was just like some bullshit, you know. What I mean? But as I got older in life, started understanding more what he meant. Like no matter how bad something is, if you just hold on, it has to pass for you. And you
Mhm.
kind of have to think of it like that. Like, like it's a storm coming in your life and things are gonna happen and you have to be strong enough to sometimes just make it through that. Sometimes you're gonna survive, basically. And
Mhm.
and so I used to think about that a lot as I got older. It's like, man, I said this guy when he told me this, I thought this was like a joke. And as I got older in life and things would happen and more serious things and more bigger things, then I would kind of be like, oh, this is what he meant. You know what I mean? But I was too dumb
Mhm.
to understand what he meant because as a kid, you just think you're not even thinking about you haven't been through it to even know to what's going
Yeah.
on. So yeah, yeah, I think that's what church is kind of like that. I think like an anchor for your life. Um, and it just to me, I just don't get how people make it through life without believing in anything. But even when they say that, what I find about funny in people that don't go to church or don't say they don't believe in God or just, but they believe in Star Wars or some random bullshit that you know what I mean. Like, and then like they do, a lot of these people that it's crazy because it's like you don't believe. They'll be like, "Well, I don't believe," because I've heard people say, I don't believe in this magical fairy book." I said, "Yeah, but you'll dress up as a Ewok and go to your fucking Star Wars convention." Like, like, so I'm kind of
Oh
like,
shit.
like it doesn't make any,
Oh.
it doesn't make any sense. And I think you can get anything from I church. I believe that it's something that you have to be open to when you go to church. If you go with a closed mind, you may hear something that makes you open up, like damn, like that feel some way. But I think if you go to it and you really, you're looking for something or it'll help you. But if you're looking to just like hate it, then maybe it won't. But I also have heard stories of people that hated church and went to church and it changed their opinion. You can see. I've talked to people when it's not even talking about church stuff. I remember one of the big things about being, I think, on patrol and things that sometimes I used to run into people and you would talk to them, and you could tell like they're hurting or they want to talk. I don't know, maybe other cops that you'd run into people and they start talking about different things, and you could just see
Mhm.
the hurt on their face or something's going on inside of them, and they just wanted to let it out, and eventually, I think that path leads them either back to the whatever they're doing that makes them like that, that's not helping them, or some type of change. So I think sometimes when you I think present yourself as like, hey, this is what I do, this is what works for me. No, I don't have a perfect life, but these things keep me on track. And church is one of those things. And they see that you're a strong, capable person. Like your life is not perfect. Don't get me thinking like your life is like thinking, oh, my life is perfect and I never have issues, but that you're not constantly buckling under the weight of them. something is working. You know what I mean? So something,
Yeah.
and I think that's a lot of it. That's for for us. I feel like we're a different type of. I don't know say like a new. I want to say a new Christian. I think the kind of the men like me and you that are coming. I think we're kind of a different version of Christianity. I feel like there was the maybe when we were kids seeing this kind of more going to church, maybe a little bit more judgmental one, and us kind of going through our own experience. I feel like we're more um action oriented Christians. You know what I mean? That kind
Yeah.
of say, hey, yeah, I go to church, but I also know that I have to do all these other things and I need to be capable of doing them. And I think that's making it more relatable than just being like, hey, if you keep praying hard enough, your life will get better.
You still got to do the work. You still got to do
Yeah.
the work. Those Ewoks are the ones that are yelling at us online, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, and I think a lot of it too, man, is like I had a therapist tell me this a long time ago. A lot of angry people are just really sad, and that sadness comes out as anger. And I think the anger towards the church is more of they're sad, their life's not going maybe the way they want it to, or they've experienced some trauma, and they're looking for something to kind of ease that pain, but they are afraid of being judged or they don't feel worthy of it. Which at the end of the day, nobody's worthy of salvation. It was given to us as a gift from
Yeah.
Jesus. And it's hard when you're in that legalistic mindset sometimes. And I know it is for me. Like, I don't feel like I'm always the best Christian and I struggle. But then I try to realize, like, hey, you're never going to be perfect, but try to do better every day. And I'm not always positive. I'm not always in a good mood. I mean, I'll be honest, like it's a struggle for me sometimes. The holidays this year were brutal, man. Like it was hard. And I was not positive on Christmas Day. It was hard. But
Mhm.
I know like I take advantage of the good times, and then when I go through periods of dark places and sadness, I know like, okay, I just need to power through this by reading scripture, praying, go to the gym, try to be grateful, try to look at things from more of a this is a learning opportunity versus why is this happening to me? And it takes a lot of I think practice and going through trials to get to that place. And I'm not perfect, man. I still struggle. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna sit here and blow somebody's hair back because they don't believe in God or because they don't agree with what I do. Cause I mean, at the end of the day, we're all entitled to our own opinion. That's what makes America
Yeah.
great, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I agree. I think also too, it's kind of like you said, people have to come on their own accord and get to their own place how they want to get there. So, and I agree with you. It's the same thing. Yeah, it's funny because like I always like my mom is very religious, and I think I kind of tell her sometimes too. Like, but she's way more hardcore than I am about it. So I sometimes try to reword frame it with her where I think sometimes that can turn people off to
mm,
religion. You know what I mean? If you can't
hmm
joke with them, you can't relate to where they're coming from, you can't even that can make people feel like, damn, like you can't like I can't even talk to you normally because you're just gonna keep referring to the Bible or this and that. You know what I mean? And I think as
yeah.
sometimes I think when you're trying to help someone, I guess even at the with that faith aspect, you have to be able to it's kind of like I guess make it like where you're being honest, you're also kind of giving them like tidbits of like maybe knowledge or things that help you, but also being realistic to where they're at with it. You know what I mean? Because some
hmm
people are not going to want to have that conversation. Just like when you're younger or somebody, you're not going to want to be like if you're um struggling with something, you don't want always someone to tell you just be happy. Smile
Yeah.
about it and it'll be all
Yeah.
right. And I could relate to what you're saying, even with the holiday stuff. I remember things of that nature and always there's that pull. I think especially when it's kind of depending on if your holidays are alone or not, there's that pull to want to feel like I don't want to say feel sorry for yourself, but feel mad or feel sorry or whatever it is. I was telling someone that not too long ago where I was like, man, there's a point where I was a police sergeant, going through my divorce, so sleeping at my mom's house on the sofa, and I was waiting to get my house and all these other things. But I remember thinking that, like, I'm like, here I am, like at this point in my career, and I'm like, I'm fucking sleeping on my mom's couch, and I'm trying to think, and I was like, but at the same time, it was a weird 360 for me because it brought me back to like, like I was back home again from where I started. And it made me realize like, you kind of have to know kind of where you're going. You know, it's like that saying, like to know where you're going, you have to remember where you've been, type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So it didn't really make me mad. It was just more of a, like, a humbling kind of feeling of like, damn, you know what I mean? Like, you can do all these good things. Like, I was like, man, at that point, like, always been successful in my career, helped all kinds of people, this and that. But that still didn't make me successful in how I was feeling at that point personally. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so then and so you kind of have to like eat that shit. Like, you're gonna have to be like, okay, cool, I have to kind of eat this. And then um also it's kind of, like those everyone posts, like, there's always motivational stuff and things like that, and but it's like, I always feel like it's different when you have to live it, when you have to
Mm-hmm.
live a motivational quote than just say that shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're actually going through it. You're in the middle of it. That shit sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah.
living it, but then you have to know, like, well, this is what I wanted, right? It's like when they say you want to be stronger, so I'm gonna give you the chance to be strong,
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. So that's the way I kind of look at it in that way. And I think it's always kind of how I've been able to stay positive. I just look at it like a challenge. I don't know why I started always thinking of it like that. I think it just goes back to different experiences that I had, and even that whole "this too shall pass" and kind of being stuff. But no, I get what you're saying. That's definitely a thing for the holidays, and even everyone's, yeah. I mean, for us, I remember the holidays were always the biggest. Suicides, domestics, and friggin' health and welfare's arguments. I
Mm-hmm.
know everyone is not, happy during the holidays.
Yeah. It's
And
stressful
yeah,
time.
I remember a guy just telling him, this is last year. I told him, I was like, Merry Christmas. And he was like, went into this whole rant about how Jesus wasn't real, everything like that. But I could understand. I didn't agree with what he said. I thought what he's saying was stupid. Like, it was didn't totally off of the. I was just being nice to him because I did feel like he kind of was to himself and not really. It was just more me kind of being like, "Hey, what's up?" Whatever. And but I could see also why he felt that way because he kind of had like physical disability with him, and I think a lot of that anger was coming out of what he was saying. I could tell it was. You know what I mean? Almost like me saying Merry Christmas to him was like, I don't believe in Jesus, this and that, and it went to his physical disability, which is obvious if you ever, this guy in person, you could tell what it was. But that's where it stemmed from. So I didn't sit there and try to argue with them or, change his mind or,
Yeah.
like I just kind of he said it. And then it's funny because then I think like a week or two later he came up and kind of like apologized about it. But I could see where the anger was for him and why he was angry. And I can understand why he was angry. He was physically, something happened to him and he was mad about it. And obviously this madness, him being mad, was relating to why he felt towards God, because he probably was like, why is this happening to me? You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I could understand. I could have that empathy for him and say, you know what, this dude is how he feels. You know what I mean? If you ever
Mm-hmm.
had a conversation, like, I'll talk with him here and there, but I never try to convince him about like, hey, you need to go to church and do that. Cause I know that to me, I can tell that's not at where he's at with it.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
ever said it, if you ever asked me, then I would tell him. And that's what I tell a lot of guys. Like, I don't ever push them. If you ask me about it, then I'll talk to you about it. If you don't want to talk about it, I'm not gonna sit there and keep like prodding you
Yeah.
about
Well,
it.
and
See
it's
what
like that.
happened.
It's that scripture that, I can't remember the book, but Christ said, don't cast your pearls among swine. So if they don't want to hear it, that's on them. We're just supposed to lead by example, spread the gospel. But if people don't want to hear it, Jesus
Yeah,
isn't telling us to still preach at them like, hey, that's cool, man. Like if you don't
yeah,
believe in God, that's on you. I mean, I do, and
yeah,
I'm gonna profess my love for him. But if you don't, that's on you. That's your and like you said, you want to dress like an Ewok and go waddle around a convention center. That's your thing, man. Like that ain't my thing. But
yeah.
like I mean, it's a catch
You believe
22,
in the
man.
force.
It's yeah, and that's why like when I first started this, man, like I was kind of gun shy about. I mean, I know Christ tells us don't be a lukewarm Christian. You're supposed to have courage and talk about him and spread the gospel. And it took me kind of getting some motivation from a pastor friend of mine named Jason Feezer, who's actually coming on the show again tomorrow. To just say, you know what, I'm gonna talk about the Lord. Like I don't care. Like I'm not trying to be anybody else. I'm just gonna be me. And I'm not the perfect Christian, but I'm trying my best and I'm trying to put God first in everything and hopefully my actions will reflect that, even though I make mistakes and I'm not perfect, but I'm not afraid to talk about them. And that's one thing that I feel better about was, okay, I'm not going to go on the street corner and preach. I'm not going to just walk up to some random guy at the mall and say, "Hey, do you know Jesus?" Because that's going to turn him away probably. But I feel like I
Yeah.
can use this platform by sharing, testimonies and sharing stories and how men have healed and grown and gotten through, dark periods of life, but we can still talk about the Lord and, and share scripture with people. So that's kind of how I see it.
No, it makes a big difference. I mean, it's a definitely, I think when you come from it like a more authentic place and not at a forceful place, it makes a big how you impact people. Because I know when I've talked to people, I remember something was going on, and one of the guys told me, he's like, "Oh, when things are going on at work, like you're always kind of more. I've never seen you really like upset. You're just kind of like joking around, kind of being the same. Because that's how I am. Like the same way I'm talking is the same way. I always still joke around and make jokes and if I had to say something to get everyone up, because I could feel it. I don't know. I feel like I've always been a little I guess in that area where I could feel the energy of the people around me. And if I feel like they're getting down, then I'll be like, nah, like put your head up. We need to handle this shit. Like I'll
Hmm.
feel it and I'll try to put a stop to it. I used to kind of have this thing and not about being physically bigger, right? Where I used to say, I don't care if you're bigger than me, like you're not going to be bigger than me. Like because
Mm.
that's how I felt, like how I had to lead, right? Like
Hmm.
you could be physically big, but your energy is not going to be bigger than my energy. So I used to and that to me that didn't come from me. I felt like that came from the responsibility I felt for making sure that we did things and were successful in what we were doing. And I think it's the same way with being how we are right now, talking about, like you said, being courageous and things like that is kind of like when you have a big spirit and people can tell that's how you feel. Sometimes people they're curious. They want to know, like, why does this person act the way that they act? Why are they so confident in what they're saying? Why does when we see these goofy comments, like they never make me mad. They just make me laugh. Like the things that affect me don't affect them. I don't need to say, I don't need to take a break from social media or I don't need to, um, people's, what is it? I want to say their lack of faith doesn't change my faith. You know what I mean? But I think about how I got to this place, and now I think about it's like, different. The foundation was, I think, having that belief and and us believing in something that was bigger than me, which is always like with my parents and my grandma, my mom teaching me about God. And then, going into the military, you're part of a bigger entity. Going into law enforcement, you're part of a bigger entity. And understanding like not everyone liked us. Like everyone doesn't like you. And
Hmm.
being cool with that. But also to me, I think a bigger point that I used to like when people met me and be like, I don't really like cops, but you seem cool. And it's the same thing I think about us being like Christians, right? People have this perception of what they think a Christian is, and to be able to change that perception of like,
Hmm.
that we're not weak. We can joke around. I don't need to Bible thump you to death about going to church. I could talk to you about some real man shit. I've been through a lot of shit. A lot of guys. I always tell people, saying, I was a I've been the step kid. I've been the one, I've raised my own daughters. I've been married. I've been divorced. I've been single. I've been through relationship things. I've had friends die. I've done everything under the sun. You know what I mean? Like for the most part. So if you want to talk about something, I could talk about it and I could relate to it. And I don't think that makes me better than anyone. I just think it gives me different experiences to draw from, and I think that's what makes us better Christians. Because I'm not saying it from this place of like, I've been living my life on the church pew and I don't have no experience, and I just,
Yeah.
like that's not what it is. It's like I can
Yeah.
relate that. Hey, like you had to get it. You got in a fight with your brother, and this is what happened, and this is why you did it. Cool, but it's like and giving you some advice about that. But is that the best course of action? Or me and you talking about the different experiences with podcasts? Well, I think what work where we come from a lot from it is our own almost being, I want to say like, us being advocates of helping other men and being disappointed by what we're seeing from other men in our space. I think that's where it's coming. You know what I mean? Not
Hmm.
even like whole place. It's more of a like, damn, dude, you have a bigger platform, you have badass success, you have a big old following, and you want to really like tear other people down, like that's really what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like do something good with that shit, and we'll champion your shit all the time. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's where we're coming from. So I feel like we're changing the perception of what believing in God is, and doing all this stuff, and to where it's something that people really haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, and I think with the Christianity piece, it's we're doing the real world application along with Christianity versus just saying, I've lived this perfect life. I love God. I've never made a mistake. We're coming at it from a different approach. Like, yeah, we have seen things have happened to us. So we know God's real because of the experiences we've gone through versus just, man, I'm just going to go to church and read my Bible and sing a couple songs and then go home. But at the end of the day, it's like, and I've shared this before. I mean, when I went through my divorce, I didn't want to live anymore, man. Like I didn't think I was going to make it. And if it wasn't for that's when I fully surrendered to Christ, was going through that experience. And if I hadn't gone through that, it didn't have God in my life, I would have went off the rails, man. I know I would have. Even though I was sober at that point, I was not strong enough. I'm still not strong enough without God to to be where I need to be in life. And I think that's what it takes, dude, is the real world experience and telling people that don't want to hear about Christianity. Well, hey, guess what? I've been through a lot of crap that you're not going to hear at church or see at church because they're not going to talk about it, but I'll talk about it. I'll tell you what I've done. And it's breaking that stigma of Christian men being passive and weak and being the nice guy to showing that you can still have done things in your life that are not good or not favorable. You've done jobs that maybe attract people that are not super Christians or whatever, but you know what?
Mhm.
We both love Jesus and we're like you say it, we're good men and we're dangerous because we'll fuck your ass up if we have to. But
Yeah.
we're trying to spread the gospel and be
Yeah.
be gentle and kind, but if you cross that line, then we can go to
Yeah.
work if we need to. And I think that's the key thing, man, is like that's what the world needs. It needs good men, but it needs men that are dangerous that'll protect, provide, and love their families. But at the end of the day, don't cross us because we love Jesus, but we got to go hands on. We'll go hands on.
Yeah, and yeah, and I think like you said, it also it's just being, and also I think we open up dialogue for conversation, or people like I like what you said was crazy right now about the whole divorce thing, because I remember one time being at this was years ago, and being in the sauna at the gym. I think I had just got off night shift or did something. I don't know what I was doing in the sauna. And some guy came in there. So he was asking me about working out, different things. We weren't talking anything about church. And he literally kind of said the same thing you said. He's like, I'm coming to work out because I'm going through a divorce, and if not, I'd fucking like I don't know what I would do. Like he I could just see the hurt in his like what he was saying. You know what I mean? So it made me kind of a lot of those things happen to me so often in the job where I would meet people that were like that, that I kind of realized like that is kind of a part of faith, right? Like kind of being in this. I'm gonna say like I'm always positive. I don't know how to say it, but I there was a lot of times where when I had a lot of stuff going on, and I'll be like, "Man, I don't wanna, really go to work today. I'm not really ready to deal with everyone else's shit,"
Hmm.
kinda problems, right? But then there'd be times where for the most part, I still would go because that was just that discipline and responsibility, and I would sometimes have a call or run into somebody or something that really kinda seemed like it was more I don't know how to say it. It was for them, but it was also for me.
Hmm.
I specifically remember this where this lady she was, like, lost. It was, like, late at night, she was driving around in circles, so I stopped her and I'm like, "Are you lost? Because you kinda seem like you're lost." And she was like, "Yeah, and, I don't know where to go. I'm trying to, like, get back on" I think she's trying to get back on the PCH or something. And then she just kinda went into how her mom had just died and all these things happened. So there was me, like, that day I remember I can't remember what had going on that I was kinda just dealing with, but having that conversation with her was like, "Man, I got shit going on, but man, this lady's mom just died." So, like, and then kind of, we ended up having like a little 15-minute conversation about it. And that was it. And I helped her with the directions. And I feel like God kind of put sometimes things like that in your life to see what you're going to do. Like
Hmm.
I don't know how, you're down and someone's going to come that needs help from you. And are you going to turn them away because you're too weak to help them? Or if you help
Right.
them, that's how you become strong.
Hmm.
I was, dang, I was looking at this quote the other day that said that. It said, sometimes strength can look like death before it becomes something else. Like you feel like you
Wow.
can't give anymore, but you have to like give more. And when you do, you actually gain strength from it. You're like, I don't got anything to, well, you still give, right? You give advice, you help out, you do whatever, you give your last, whatever you have, and you get more for it, but you're not going to know that. You have to do it to know
Hmm.
that. And but yeah, that's a crazy. I think that's always like, I don't know. I feel like life will do that to you a lot. It'll test you on what you're actually saying if you'll do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I know for me, like this podcast is therapeutic because it helps me with my mental health, interviewing and getting to know people and hear their stories and their advice and their wisdom. So it's great, for me personally, and just helping me grow and in Christianity because I learn things, and I'm interviewing people that are smarter than me, so I'm learning from them, and it gives me a fresh outlook on life, and I'm learning and meeting new people. So it's enjoyable, and I think it goes back to your point, like that woman was put in your life for a reason. I think God's bringing people into my life, like how you and I met. I mean, and it's just getting to build a network of like-minded people, but also meet people that may not think exactly the same, but they still have, you know, information or stories to share that have value that are going to help people. So it's a crazy process, man, and it's really enjoyable, and I'm really grateful for it. Like I'm really grateful to be able to get to meet more people and just to share stories and have a voice and a platform to do it instead of just the noise and the drama that is kind of social media for the most part.
Social media can always be good. It just depends on what it is. Like I think we talked about it earlier. It
Hmm.
just depends on what if you're looking for, you'll find it.
But yeah, yeah,
If
big
you're
time,
looking for it,
big
you're gonna
time.
find it. If you're looking for problems, you're gonna find it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but no, I agree.
Where
I think that's why even when after our podcast and we talked about doing this, that's kind of the reason I always go off of everyone's energy, and all the people I usually interact with, it's usually because I genuinely like them, like I'll interact with them. So, and that's kind of where I tell myself I don't want to be one of those people that's just like I I never seen myself as an influencer. I don't even like that word. I don't like that word.
Yeah.
I don't like anything. Like to me, I just look at it like to me, it's more like this is just more like a platform to say and do things that may help other people to kind of to set a certain tone for maybe for how we see things or we want them to progress to, and that needed to be done because there wasn't that space. It was all geared towards, negativity or bashing men or a lot of there was no answer for it type of shit. And that's the way I kind of
Mhm.
have looked at it. And that's why I'm glad when I see people like your platform doing good and the other guys that I see when their platforms are doing good because it's kind of like things needed to be challenged. And I think that's what we're doing, kind of challenging it back of like, hey, this is our mission. You do what you got to do, and we'll do what we got to do, and we'll see. We'll see. We'll see you at the top.
Yeah, yeah, amen to that. Where can people plug into your podcast, man? Like, can you kinda tell us where it's at and how to watch it?
Yeah, it's on Spotify. You can check it out. It's under the Good Leader podcast. YouTube, it's under the Good Leader podcast. I have the links on my Instagram. Instagram is probably where I'm the most active, where I'll post clips and things like that about it. So that's what all my stuff is. Yeah, it goes on Spotify. I don't think it's on Apple anymore. I did have it on Apple for a little bit. Um, but I think Spotify has a new kind of what is it? Like it's kind of doing the same like where I've seen with yours video and audio, which I think a lot of
Yeah,
people
it does the whole video now, yeah, which is kinda
yeah.
wild, but yeah,
Yeah, that's kinda yeah,
that's
it's
how
kinda
it
crazy that's on here.
y yeah, I know, it's kinda weird. I don't think it did that, in the beginning, but I guess they're probably trying to keep up with YouTube or something.
Yeah, because before I think I felt like all podcasts were kind of audio because
Mhm.
I always have listened to different podcasts. But yeah, it's a lot of now it's like more I think people like video more than audio. I don't know. It's kind of seems like it's more geared towards people watching it now just as much as listening.
Yeah.
So yeah, a Spotify, YouTube, always post clips on social media, Instagram, and things like that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of TikTok that much or anything like that. I don't know. I don't know why. To me, the engagement on TikTok never felt like authentic to me. It felt
Mhm.
weird. It felt just like a
Yeah.
lot more I don't know. I can't even describe it. I never really felt like I had any genuine interaction with anyone through that platform. So that's why I kind of stopped messing with it. Instagram is different. I feel like I kind of the same people always am kind of interacting and talking with the same people or more people along those lines. It doesn't feel like it's a TikTok just feels weird. There's something about it that just rubs me the wrong way.
It's harder to use. I mean, it makes cool videos, but it's way I think the engagement is better on Instagram for sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it's our age, I don't know. But yeah, I don't get TikTok either. I mean, I have a page,
Yeah.
but I don't understand it. But it's a good way to edit and make clips though. It does do
Yeah.
cool things with videos. But I want to read a scripture real quick, man, as we're kind of wrapping up. I'm going to read today's verse. Since we've talked a lot about faith and this is from Isaiah chapter 43, and this is verse 18 through 19. So don't remember what happened in earlier times. Don't think about what happened a long time ago, because I am doing something new. Now you will grow like a new plant. Surely you will know this is true. I will even make a road in the desert, and rivers will flow through that dry land. I think it's kind of fitting for the first day of the new year. We're on a path together, man, and I'm grateful for you, dude. And I'm excited to see you continue to grow and your podcast grow, and anything I can do to help, man. I'm here for you. I appreciate your friendship.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. I
Yeah.
like our interaction and engagement. I like your platform. Yeah, that's why it's like I want always a network with people on the same page.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, I'm gonna close this out with a prayer real quick. Ready to pray?
Yep.
Father, thank you for today. Thank you for John and bringing us together again to kind of just give men a blueprint for the new year in 2026. Thank you for this platform and this podcast. Lord, I pray that you will bless the listeners, bless those that are watching, and just let them know that you love them, that their lives have just that has purpose. They have power through you, Lord, and also that you are the only way to peace, to find true peace, and you are the only true love, the unconditional love that we all so yearn for and desire. Thank you for John. I pray you bless him in this new year, bless his podcast, and bless his family. And Lord, just continue to guide me, lead me into this new year. And I pray I can be a man that makes a difference and help others and spread your gospel and raise awareness for men's mental health. And it's in your mighty name that I pray. Amen. Thank you for checking out this special episode of the Peace, Power, and Purpose podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. You can also listen along on Spotify, and be sure to go check John out on Instagram. Check out his show. And John, plug your page one more time so they can get it.
The Good Leader podcast on Spotify and on YouTube. And follow me on Instagram.
What's your handle on Instagram?
The Good Leader brand.
There we go. There we go. Awesome. John, it's good talking with you, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Cool. No problem. Thank you.